All right. So I think Parijat will start. So I'm Satya. I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach in Anyo, and this week we just thought to do a masterclass on habit building, which is like everyone, all of us have tried habit building from time to time. Maybe we succeeded in one habit, but maybe there are some habits which we try but without much hope. Uh, we all have techniques. Maybe you saw. Um, so today we have Parijat, who is a performance coach, and he's very passionate about all these different habit building, and he's going to share a book suggestion also, which some of you might have read. And I'm as eager as you are to find out what he's going to help us with, especially with picking up when we fall, like, so yes, Parijat, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Satya, for that nice introduction. Just like you, I'm letting everyone know that I'm going to be learning along. I am not at all perfect in habits, if anything, quite far away. So I hope that by the end of today and tomorrow's masterclasses, I have something to take away and implement in my life as well. So let's start with Habit Building 101. Today is day one. We are going to start off by just understanding habits, what habits are, how it works, some theory and some psychology behind the process of habit formation. And I'm sorry. So today, my guiding spirit for this masterclass has been this brilliant book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I am sure almost all of you must have heard of it. And if you have, put it down in the chat box. Let us know what your experience with this book has been, what you've heard, what you've read. And with that in mind, let's get started. So in a nutshell, small changes lead to big results. There's really not much more to know. So if you're here for that, you have what you need. But if there's more you want to know, just hold on. So let's start with what exactly habits are. Habits are basically routines of behaviors that are repeated regularly. They occur with minimal conscious thought. You don't realize that you're doing it, it just happens. And like we've already just seen, they are automatic actions. And the more you repeat it, the more likely it is to become a habit. Obviously, habits can be either beneficial or detrimental, as I am sure we have all experienced. The fun fact is that of all the daily actions we take, around 60% of them are conscious, and the remaining 40% are completely habitual. This means that 40% of the time we spend in a day comes from purely paying attention to habits. It can be anything from brushing your teeth to showering to having your food on time and whatever it is. They all come from habitual actions that takes up 40% of all our time. Now, very famously, bad habits are easy to maintain and good habits are more difficult. I'll take this into a little more detail. For any of you who relate with any of the points that you see here, put it down in the chat box, put it down in the Q&A. If you have any questions, put that through too. I'll start with the first one. It's called instant gratification versus delayed reward. So basically, bad habits, they often provide us some immediate pleasure or relief. They give us a quick dopamine hit. It can be anything from scrolling through social media or eating junk food. But good habits, usually, they offer delayed benefits. That is, you only see the fruits of your good habits after you stick with them for a while. So naturally, it makes them harder to stick with. I'm sure that so many of you have some example or the other in your life to relate to this. The next one is automatic versus autopilot. So these are two different modes that you run on. Basically, bad habits become so deeply ingrained because they run on autopilot. They're triggered by cues that you're familiar with, that you don't need conscious thought to go towards. But good habits, once again, they require more effort, more conscious decision making, at least at the start. And once you stick with them, they become much, much easier as you go along. The next one is a bit of a psychology geek thing. It's called cognitive dissonance and having resistance to change. So basically, when our actions conflict with our values, so this is basically what a cognitive dissonance is. When you do something that you don't want to do, but then you do it anyway. So for example, your action can be skipping exercise, but it conflicts with your values. That is, you want to be healthy. So in this moment, we experience some discomfort. Now, what's important to pay attention to here is how we respond to this discomfort. And most often, what we do is that we start rationalizing these bad habits instead of changing the behavior behind it. That's the beauty of the human tendency to resist to change.
Uh, right, Parijat. So here I remember a portion from a textbook. I don't remember which book this was. So it was something about finances, like probably Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm not sure. So it says everyone want to be a millionaire, but
Yeah.
deep within, we also have the thought that millionaires are very bad. They are like very stupid person, like very the top, in a very richest of the world, like general, like wider people's mindset is like those who have too much money, they can spend it like anything, even if it is stupid or silly reason. So
Right, right, right.
right, so right.
That is a, yeah, I think that's what all our perceptions become after a point. Like there's really no way to change it except through our own experience.
Right. So we hope you also have techniques to overcome, like based on your performance coaching experience.
Yeah, yeah,
I would like to know
absolutely.
personally how to deal with this thing.
Absolutely. There's a bunch. There's a lot, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So I don't want to stop your flow for today. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, no, no worries. So we were just discussing cognitive dissonance and resistance to change. The next one is the function of biological and neural pathways in our brain. So basically, when habits are formed through repeated cue response reward loops, which is basically the habit loop, these create strong neural pathways in the brain, and bad habits are more often reinforced quickly because their rewards are immediate and satisfying. So it's not all your fault. It's also a little bit to do with how every human being's brain is wired and how it functions. And the next one is environmental and modern challenges. So our brains sometimes they're overwhelmed by the constant digital stimuli and the temptations of today's world. This can be a screen or something like an Instagram reel. They call it doom scrolling nowadays. So what these do is that they hijack the natural habit forming systems in our head, and that makes it easier to fall back into the bad habits instead of choosing not to do it. And the last one is the time to form habits. According to me, this one is probably the most misunderstood one. Basically, research shows that good habits can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to manifest, with an average of around 66 days, depending on your lifestyle and your upbringing and a lot of small, small factors. But the average is 66 days, which is much longer than the common myth of 21 days. I have heard from a lot of people that if you do something every day for 3 weeks, then it becomes a habit. That's not actually true. I'm sure it's true for something small and something not very significant in your day, but if it's a truly like new beneficial habit to your life and your lifestyle, it still needs a lot more patience and persistence than that. So that's a myth uncovered. It's a hard truth, but that is the point of today's session, to accept it and to see what we can do with what we have. Um, so this is the next slide on the science of habit formation. We will very quickly go through why and when habits become automatic. Now, your motto to take away from this one slide is that repetition in a consistent context creates automaticity. You can get this printed out, put it on your poster wall, read it every day, and maybe it will help. So, to just take you through these pictures quickly, neurologically, Each time this habit loop happens of cue, craving, response, and reward, your brain releases a chemical. This chemical is called dopamine. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. They call it a feel good chemical. Every time you do something you like, the dopamine is actually the neurotransmitter. It's the chemical in your brain that lets you know that you like doing this. So what this does is that this reinforces the connection between cue, routine, and reward, and they strengthen the neural pathways in your basal ganglia. This is a part of your brain that's responsible for habit formation. So over time, this loop becomes so ingrained that the behavior happens automatically without conscious thought. So your brain again goes into autopilot. This allows you to perform your habits efficiently. But what it also does is that it makes it hard to change the habit. So if we understand this loop, we can see why habits are so powerful and how we can intervene by identifying cues, changing the routines or altering rewards. It can be to build better habits or to break the bad habits. It can be either one. So a good example from the picture here is I'm sure all of us have different ways of responding to a stress situation. So for example, if currently the way my brain works, let's say I have a stress trigger, something happens, let's say I'm in traffic and someone cuts me off. My whole neural pathway is telling me to go into the stress spiral. It is telling me to feel anxiety because now I'm probably going to be late or my car is going to be damaged. Or it sends me into panic. This will be one of my initial reactions. But let's say that now I want to start a new habit. Every time I feel stressed, something like this ticks me off, I'm going to do a quick breathing technique. Let's say I'm just going to do 5 counts of deep breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing, where I take a couple of deep breaths in, I exhale them slowly, and then I respond to the situation instead of reacting to it head on. Now, what this small change has given me is some perspective to look at the same situation from a third person's point of view. It also informs me to stay a little calm because what breathing naturally does is bring your heart rate down. And now, naturally, I feel a little more calm, even though this would have stressed me in another situation. And another advantage of building this new habit is that I'm now forming new neural pathways and it is allowing me to reason. So you already have carved pathways. Now I'm adding new pathways. The more often you do it, you strengthen it with practice. And again, the more often you do it, the strong pathways stay and the weak ones fade away. So there will be a point when you're probably in the same situation and you would never react with immediate anxiety and panic, but you would respond with calmness, perspective, and reason. So this is a very small everyday example of how making a small change to our habit can lead to bigger results over time. This very smoothly leads me on to one of the most powerful slides in this entire deck. It's called the power of small habits. This has very much to do with your identity as a person. Basically, your habits determine your identity. You can choose to base your habits from outcomes or identities. And therein lies the power of small habits. To give you an example, you can have one of two ways of starting to make your habits. They can be either outcome based or they can be identity based. Now, if it's outcome based, you decide on the results that you want. You find out how to get there and then take action. And your beliefs about yourself get in the way. What happens in this loop is that you feel bad about yourself and then you repeat the loop. But if you change the way you form your habits to be about your identity, or you make it identity based, you first decide on the type of person you want to be rather than the results that you want. You start to implement actions that only that type of a person would do. What happens next is that you slowly start to build evidence that you already are that type of a person. And the loop ends with you feeling good about yourself, and then you repeat from the start. I thought this was very beautiful when I found out. It's a very, very, very small change. Let's say,
Yeah,
for
I think,
example, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So I was going to ask for an example so we can relate it much easier. So
Yeah. So a very good everyday example is that, let's say the new habit you're trying to cultivate is exercise. Now maybe you start running in the morning, you start jogging in the morning, you want to get some physical activity early in the morning, and you want to make a habit of it. Now we all know what self-talk is. It's the way we talk to ourselves, our communication with ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves for any action that we do. Now you might say to yourself, I run once in a while. What this sentence does is that it makes it outcome based. It has become about the running and it has become once in a while. But instead of saying I run once in a while, if you said I am a runner, full
Hmm.
stop, you have now made it about your identity. It has now become about you. It is not about the activity that you're doing, but rather how the activity defines you, rather than you relating to an outcome of the activity itself.
That's quite
So,
powerful, right?
yeah, I thought so.
So,
So,
guys who are here, you can mention in the chat, is there any habit that you are trying to build or break? Please let us know in the chat. So maybe we can discuss, like, or you can share how you can, if you are putting your focus on the outcome, how you can shift it towards your identity. So I think that's really powerful. So I believe that I'm a runner. So it's like running is not something that I want to be. It's I'm already a runner. So naturally, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
exactly. So the next morning when you wake up, you won't go run because you want the benefits of running. You'll go run because you are a runner. It's just what you do. It's who you are.
So for running, okay, so we can say directly I'm a runner. So let's say somebody is trying to wake up earlier, or like trying to change their meal times. Like let's say I have my dinner around 10 p.m. I want to have it around 7 or 8 p.m. I'm an early dinner person. I want to eat my dinner early, but
Okay.
um, how this kind of person can set an identity. So just to give it some ideas.
Okay. So, I mean, in this situation, I don't know if you can call yourself, hey, I am now an early dinner eater. That's too complicated. So instead, you link the lifestyle around it. What exactly are you trying to achieve by eating early? Maybe it is so that you can go to sleep on time. Maybe you want to go to sleep on time so that you can wake up on time and get started on your next day on time. So now you start linking this larger, bigger picture of forming this habit, which is part of one thing. I'm so sorry, I have lost power in my house, but don't bother. I know I look like a ghost, but I'm just going to keep going.
uh, right. So just your video is gone, but we can still see your slide and hear you.
All right, perfect. I'll switch it back on as soon as the power comes back.
Right.
So, yeah, in this situation, you link it to the larger activity you are trying to focus on, and then you base your identity around that.
Right. So as an Ayurveda coach, I have seen clients who want to lose weight, or in general, they want to improve their digestion.
Okay?
Like for some of the deeper whys, I try and ask some of them. So I think this can help the audience. So this I thought to share this.
Definitely.
Uh,
On the
so
chat
some of
box, actually,
Right.
yeah.
This
So
definitely
Shruti
makes
has
sense
asked.
because attaching it to their identity, as in like one of them said they want to be a role model for the family. He's like the
Okay.
father with two children, like college going children. And he said, I want to be the role model of the family. So to him,
Okay.
he is a very what can I say, well balanced and healthy adult, and he wanted to maintain his blood level markers balance. So he said, I want to be a role model. That's right. So now that's
Okay.
part of his identity. So that's why now he's waking up very early also. So it's really interesting when you say identity based.
Exactly. So he wanted to be that for his children. He wanted his children to see him that way.
Right.
And now he has started doing things that will define him in that way. That's the beauty of it. He immediately changed his perspective and he made it about his identity. So Shruti in the chat box, she has asked
Yes.
that trying to sleep on time, but she cannot.
Oh, okay.
So I have a I'm so glad that you have asked this, Shruti. I mean, I haven't spoken to you before, but I think I have the perfect solution. So as I was going through the book in Atomic Habits, he actually addresses this exact issue, the issue of sleep. And what he says is his solution is that in the loop of cue, craving, response, and reward, what you do is that you start associating different elements of your sleep pattern with each of those. So basically, he says if you want to sleep on time and if you want to get quality sleep, use your bed only to sleep. Don't eat on your bed, don't work on your bed, and basically use your bed only to sleep. So after a point, what happens is that you start associating the bed with the activity of sleeping. And what happens eventually is that rather than going to the bed and waiting to fall asleep, every time you go to bed, you fall asleep. So it has basically inverted on itself. So that now the cue has become the bed and the response has become sleep rather than it being the other way around and you waiting to go to sleep after you go to bed. I don't know, maybe try that and get back to us here at Anyo and tell us what your experience was. I have tried it a bunch of times and it absolutely works. I have not been able to be consistent with it, but I am still trying like all of us. So let us know what your experience with that specific um, help was. Okay. Moving on to the next slide about the small habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. What I have here is a brilliant little piece of a graphic which actually shows what the final impact of becoming 1% better every day is. So, according to James Clear, improving by just 1% every day might seem so small, but it adds up fast. Over a year, those tiny gains they compound to make you nearly 37 times better at the same activity. And this shows how small, consistent habits can create massive changes without overwhelming effort. Satya, in fact, I think a few slides ago you brought up Rich Dad Poor Dad. So what I remember from that was that the writer of that book, he actually wanted to make a couple of habit changes himself. So what he does, I keep forgetting his name. Uh, yeah, it's by Robert Kiyosaki.
Rich Dad Poor Dad author.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Right.
written by this brilliant gentleman. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. So
Right.
what Robert does is that he actually got in touch with James Clear, the writer of Atomic Habits,
Okay.
and he wanted to cultivate the habit of getting some physical activity in every day. He wanted to
Mm,
work out and exercise every day, but he was not able to because of his own family issues and his work, and he's just not able to find time through his morning or through the rest of his day. So the advice he got for that was that just go to the gym and just stand there on day one for 2 minutes and come back home. That's it. That was the entire advice. No matter
just go
what.
there and come back. No
That,
exercise.
exactly. You just go there, you stand on the gym floor for two
Right.
minutes and you come back home. No matter what, you cannot work out. You are not allowed to work out. You cannot touch one piece of equipment. You can't even touch the treadmill. You just stand there for 2 minutes and you come back.
So, uh, to help us understand better, so uh, I, in my mind, it appears like when we go there and see other people exercising, is like motivation for us, or is it like I'm just thinking the psychological aspects, how
No, exactly. What you said is exactly right. That is a part of it. So when you see
right.
other people working out, but you feel like you can't work out because you're just not allowed to work out on day one, you
Yes.
start creating a craving for it. You start
Right.
slowly craving for it. You create that in your own system. And over time, what you'll notice is that maybe tomorrow I'm going to go stand there for 2 minutes. Day after tomorrow, I'll stand there for 5 minutes. And by day three, I am just itching to get on some piece of equipment. It can be getting on the treadmill, lifting one weight, doing just one rep. It
Mm,
can be as simple as that and as small as that. But what you will notice is that every day you keep building on, you start spending 5 minutes more every week at the gym. And within 3 months, you're going to be going there for like 1.5 hours because you want to be going there, not because you want to make time for it or something like that. No excuse will get in the way at that point because it has just become a part of your day. It has become a habit beautifully.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also like a success feeling. Like when you set your goal is just to visit the gym for the initial days, it feels like you have already started a success loop. So it's really good to know, like, it's really starting small.
Yeah, exactly. The smaller you start, the easier it is to maintain the habit because it's very easy to do something very small for a very short amount of time during the day. So now we come on to the habit loop itself. I have a couple of polls I have going on here that
Yes, I
I
think you
want.
can launch it. Would you like me to?
Yeah, I have just launched one. Let's
Okay,
take a look at the responses.
right.
So the habit loop. This is one of my last slides today before I just start teasing day two's, which is tomorrow's session. The habit loop that falls under the process of habit formation, it starts with a cue, as we have spoken so far. The cue is the trigger that starts the habit. The craving is the motivation or the desire behind that habit. You feel like you want it and you feel like you need to go do that thing. And the third part is the actual behavior. You actually go and do it. You go and eat that junk food, or you go to that movie theater and watch that movie when you probably have something else to do. And what you receive in return is the reward, the benefit you gain, which is once again the small dopamine kick. Yes, I had this junk food. I feel so good about myself now. That was so tasty. I wanted to do that and I did it. What this does is that this reinforces the habit. And the next time you feel that tiny craving or even you get the cue, you go and do it immediately. It jumps directly from cue to response and then reward. The craving is cut out. This is basically the habit formation loop. The habit
Okay,
break.
so
Yeah.
sorry. So with your gym example itself, can you tell what is the cue and craving so for us to relate better?
If you want to go to the gym or if you're having difficulty in going to the gym.
Like when we are building, like let's say the positive, so, or if you're going to do the activity tomorrow, then maybe why habit fails or whatever. It's up to you. Like to understand the cue, this loop better.
Okay, so fine. Let's take the example of someone who wants to cultivate a new habit of going to the gym. So your cue can be something as little as keeping your running shoes by the door. Your gym shoes, just keep it by the door. Keep it in your way. Make
Okay.
sure that when you walk over to the door for anything, you are going to trip and fall over those shoes. So what this does over time is that you have to get the shoe out of the way. And your brain will not just let you simply do that. It won't be as simple as, okay, I'm going to pick up the shoes, I'm going to keep it in the shoe rack. It's not as simple as that. You will first go back to the reason as to why you first kept the shoes there in the first place. And what was the reason to start going to the gym, to start working out, to get some physical activity? This slowly creates the craving. You feel like you want to go do that because you see the shoes there and now you're bothered by it. You can't just keep the shoes back in the shoe rack because why do you even keep it there in the first place? So now you feel like you want to go and fulfill that behavior. Over time, you receive a response. You pick up the shoes, you put your socks on, you wear them, you head out the door and you go to the gym. You will do this for maybe a couple of days, but you hold on to it and you receive the reward. Over time, you will find yourself becoming fitter. There is literally no other possibility of anything else happening. You will get fit, you will feel better about yourself, and then you will still receive that dopamine hit, except this time it will be so much better than eating junk food.
Great, great. And especially with your very impactful insight that we should attach our identity that we are a runner. With that, I think this loop will work even much like magnified than just
Exactly.
normally. Right. So that is one thing I should remember.
That was easily one of the most powerful representations of the concept of habit formation I have come across so far,
Mhm.
which is how you attach your identity to it.
Right.
Um, at least for me, that easily changed a lot of things the day I found that out. I decided that okay, if I start doing this because I am that person, at least eventually I will start feeling like that person, even if I'm not. To my surprise, I found out that I actually am that person. And I haven't looked back since that day. It can be for any small, tiny habit. And I guarantee that you will have the exact same experience. So, with that done, the last part of today's masterclass is habit formation and the four laws of behavior change. So, basically, according to James Clear, if you make it obvious, you make it easy, you make it attractive, and you make it satisfying, you have attached meaning to each part of your habit loop. So for the cue, you make it obvious. You create clear cues to trigger your habit. For example, you start designing your environment to highlight your cues. An example that I just told Satya was placing your running shoes by the door. The next is you start making it easy. Now, the easier you make the habit, it reduces the friction of the starting trouble. We all have starting trouble with habits. Now, the easier
Mhm.
you make this habit, that is already it's pretty small, and you make it easy to. Now, there's absolutely no friction. There's very little reason for you to not do it. The
Right.
next part is that you start making it attractive. You start making the habit appealing so that you want to do it. This starts addressing the reward of your habit loop. For example, you start pairing your habits with something you enjoy. This concept is actually called temptation bundling. We'll discuss this further in tomorrow's session. An example will be to like listen to your favorite podcast, but only while exercising. You don't get to listen to that podcast while doing anything else. When you're driving, when you're walking, when you're watching something, eating something. No, you can just say no to that. It's very easy to do that because you know that you get to do it, but only while exercising. So now you will start exercising just to listen to your favorite podcast. Yeah, the last part is you make it satisfying. You add an immediate reward to reinforce these habits. For example, you can keep a habit tracker that has a like check marks or anything like that. This what this does is that it immediately gives you more incentive to maintain this entire habit loop.
Right.
And that has been the end of today's session. I hope those of you who are here, you have had something to take away, something to think about, something to work on. And to quickly summarize, we saw that small habits compound into powerful changes over time. We saw that habits form through a loop. I just got my power back, and hi, I am back. Sorry about that.
Oh wow, that's the perfect time to
Yeah,
we just got some results for this poll on
for
which
the
of
poll.
which of these four laws do you think would help?
Wow,
And
okay.
these two got the most votes. It's make it obvious and make it satisfying. That's interesting.
Okay. That's good to know. At least now we know where each of us need to start on. That was
Right.
quick. So
So
we
there is
learned
some sort of clarity.
about the habit loop, which follows the cue, craving, response, and reward cycle. We learned that psychology shows that habits become automatic through repetition and maintaining a consistent context. And one of our more powerful takeaways from today's session was that identity shapes habits and that every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. And finally, we learned about the four laws of behavior change that guide habit building and to your and probably my surprise and breaking as well. There's a very, very interesting perspective change that's related to the four laws of behavior. And we will learn about this tomorrow. It's very, very interesting. And it's the key to breaking bad habits along with building new good habits. This is just a little teaser for tomorrow's session. It's going to be completely about practical habit building. We will discuss action plans to start and sustain new habits. We'll go through how to create good habits, how to break bad habits. We'll go through direct and very actionable strategies and exercises. And I will also leave you with some tools and resources. I'll give you a couple of handouts that you can start using. You can print it out or you can maintain it as a journal online, however you want. But it'll give you a little more incentive to pay attention to any new habit that you're trying to build.
Okay, great. So I'm looking
Have any
forward to
questions, please shoot, put it down in the chat box or unmute yourself, however you're comfortable.
I hope you found some useful insight today, or maybe if you already have read the Atomic Habits book, maybe it is a good reminder for you. Let us know whatever it is in the chat.
I will also do my best to see if I can leave all of you with a copy of the Atomic Habits book itself in PDF. If I can find it, I have some friends who can download it for me, let's say, in not very legal ways. But if it's possible, I will get it and I will leave you with it.
I will do the worksheet tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm trying to resume my yoga habit. So in the past, I was doing it very regularly, like every single day. Of course, like there are some like monthly, at least 20 days, I was doing yoga, but now it got a big break. So I am also going to do this exercise tomorrow. And also there's some people who are trying to build lifestyle habits also here. Like someone said about sleep. And if someone is building exercise habit like me, you can also join tomorrow, and we can all together build a habit based on all these. Like with your worksheet, hopefully this time I believe you will make me to do the yoga again regularly.
I will. I definitely will. Now that you have brought it up.
I'm counting on your worksheet.
Yeah, it is going to help.
All right, guys. So if there is no question, then I think we will wrap for today.
All right. Thank you so much for joining, whoever's here, whoever's still here. I hope the session helped, and I hope you guys join tomorrow also. If today was a little dry, you should see tomorrow. It's going to be practical and actionable stuff. Things that you can start taking your hands on immediately. Yeah.
Right. And I would like to thank everyone and Parijat as well. So before we leave for the day, I just wanted to quickly remind, as part of your corporate benefit plan, if you have not already tried the one-to-one consultations, you can check it out now. It's free as part of your corporate plan. You can also add a family member for free. Then you should definitely check it out. We have Parijat himself, who does one-to-one consultations on performance coaching, like building self-confidence and also personal image, reducing your stress levels if there is any, or even if for habit building, if you would need a longer support, like for, it's not 21 days, Parijat, you said like it could take a longer, or like maybe a lot of days also. So maybe 2 months or more. If you would like any of that, you can also consult Parijat and check out Anyo Clubs for more events. So thank you and have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Parijat.
Thank you, Satya, for making this a smooth experience and being with me here.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it. Tomorrow, I think we'll have more people joining for the action part.
Yes, that makes sense. Good that today's class is now out of the way.
Right. Okay, then. Thank you all.
All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.